Hey everyone, and welcome to DC Daily. I'm Hector Navarro, and I have Whitney Moore and Sam Humphreys joining me today. Hey guys!
What's up, y'all? I am pleased to greet you both.
I waved with both hands for some reason. I don't know.
That's how many fans we have. Hey,
I'm just
everybody.
really excited to see you guys.
Hey, for everybody watching right now, if you guys are looking for a fun animated series with nostalgia and that works for both kids and adults, look no further than Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's one of my favorites. It originally ran from 2008 to 2011 and gave us awesome team-ups, goofy scenarios, and showcased a more lighthearted Batman. The entire series is up on DC Universe right now, so we're going to be covering it all this week. We're kicking things off with one of the darker episodes in the series, Chill of the Night. This episode is a beast. It covers Batman's origin story, features an all-star voice cast, and I'm talking all-star, and has Batman confronting the murderer of his parents, Joe Chill. Pretty heavy stuff. Woo! So what were your overall thoughts on this episode, Sam?
God, I just love this one to pieces. You kind of alluded there that this is a tiny bit out of character for the show. I love the overall tone of the show, very goofy, very Silver Age influence. But this one, despite being dark, still holds true to that vibe that I love from The Brave and the Bold.
Absolutely. Whitney, overall thoughts?
So this is my first time with this show, and I have to say this has been the highlight of my week watching the show. It is so funny. Even this episode has really serious things, as maybe one of the darkest ones that we'll be talking about, but it's still so funny, and I love the music in it. This cast, I'm so excited to talk about this one, especially because I screamed when Zatanna appeared.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect segue, Whitney, and I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you for mentioning Zatanna in that cold open, because the brilliant thing about this show is that every episode has this cold open where Batman teams up with another hero or anti-hero or character from the DC universe. It's amazing, and I have to point out this episode is written by DC royalty Paul Dini, and we know his favorite character is Zatanna, so it makes perfect sense that we see her. What'd you make of that cold open, Sam?
Friend of the show, Paul Dini. You love to see it. I love these cold opens because part of the joy of the show is teaming up Batman with other heroes. Brave and the Bold is a long-standing DC Comics title. I have an issue right here hanging on my wall. And the format is that every issue would be Batman starring with a different hero. And part of the fun would be like, who is he going to team up with next month? What characters have we loved to see him with from before, like Hawkman here? Also, what crazy team-ups, unlikely team-ups can we see? So they really maximize that potential by having these cold opens on this show.
Absolutely, yeah. So then we get into the episode, and it is, yes, covering the origin of Batman, how Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, but it's a little bit different. I think that they cover things that the creators of, let's say, Batman the Animated Series never really got to do. People forget, when you go back and you watch that show from episode 1 from 1992, he's already been Batman. Heck, Robin's already been Robin. He's just away at college. They really don't do the origin except for a handful of flashbacks here and there. And this episode shows so many great comic book moments that weren't really appropriate for, like, the tone of other Batman movies or shows. Like the fact that you have little Bruce Wayne doing the oath next to the candle. That's so classic Golden Age DC Comics.
Yeah.
And they actually animated it. So we're covering the origin. It's still tragic. It's still very sad. What did you guys think of that as you sat down to watch this and you realized, oh, this is going to be about the origin?
I couldn't have possibly imagined, if someone were to describe this episode in particular to me, what that would feel like and what the tone would be. And they nailed it to me. For the first time ever, I realized I've never seen Zorro. So I feel like I'm a bad DC fan. I need to go.
If you value your parents' lives, don't go see Zorro.
It's a cursed franchise.
You're right. It's a cursed
franchise.
It's a cursed movie. Yeah, I won't. But I loved it. And I loved the part with him doing the oath. I thought it was so cute and weirdly wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about the show. It's even in its darkest moments, it's like, oh, it's cute.
That's what's funny about Batman is that people think he's this total badass, but he is, even at his most badassness, he's weirdly wholesome because it all stems from an oath that he made himself when he was 8 years old. That's, no matter how you slice it, that's wholesome. The only people that do that are like, I don't know, firemen, marine biologists, and Batman. Like when as a kid to decide that's what I want to be when I grow up. Like it's so rare.
This is cool to see because I didn't know that Batman's parents got killed. Never seen this before. Wasn't aware of this. No, this is cool to see because we've seen this origin a million billion times before. It's one of the most famous origins in superhero history. Even people who have never seen anything Batman, they can tell you exactly what happens. But this show takes a whole different angle on it. I love the montage fast forwarding through his life, showing how it reverberated through his life without dwelling on all the aspects that we've seen a million times before.
And the great thing is that the show has another sort of a framing device where you're going to take two other, to a lot of people obscure, to a lot of people fan favorite DC characters, the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre, and compare both of those with one another, and then use them to talk about Bruce Wayne's morality and to make it tie into his origin and to make it tie into where he is today. It's really smart, and yet again, this is a kid show. It's supposed to be, for a younger audience. But speaking of those two characters, we have to talk about the special guest voice cast. This is insane.
Oof.
First of all, Kevin Conroy, the Batman, is the Phantom Stranger.
Yep.
It might be unrecognizable, but Mark Hamill, the Joker to Kevin's Batman, is the Spectre. And he knocks it out of the park.
This is such a great, masterful performance from Mark Hamill. It is one of his best voiceover performances, maybe one of his best acting performances. And I love the way that they played off the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre against each other, because these are both supernatural characters that come from very different places. The Spectre is a golden age character from an era where comics were a little darker. And he is a character of vengeance, and the Phantom Stranger is a character from the 70s, where things are a little more gray than they are black and white, like you do me, I'll do you, like that kind of vibe. And I think they're the perfect kind of, not polar opposites, but they're two different voices, they're speaking to Batman as he goes through this story, challenging who Batman is as a character.
Okay, but what about Julie Newmar as Martha? That was one that I did not place until I saw the credits, and I flipped my lid. I was like, I know that voice. Who is it? It's really, they just like, they dove deep into the treasure trove of voice talents for this one, and I appreciate it.
And it's unmistakable, instantly recognizable when you hear the late, great Adam West as the voice of Thomas Wayne. And later in the episode, when he gets to team up with his young son, Bruce Wayne, like through the sort of time travel shenanigans we're experiencing, he calls him old chum. He's like, how's your aim? Impeccable, old chum. And he does that great, voice. And to go back to Batman, the animated series, we also have the voice of Two-Face from that era of Batman. Richard Mole plays Lou Moxon, this character in the beginning who's kind of dying, and he lets Bruce Wayne in disguise as like a priest know, the hit on the Waynes and where that came from and who it went to. That was great as well. So yeah, this show is able to not just talk about the Silver Age of Batman, but it looks at the entirety of Batman's history in pop culture, and it knows how to pull the best of and to bring us those great fan moments. But I want to talk about the moment where Batman does team up with his dad, Thomas Wayne.
Yes.
Because
Oh my God.
Sam, you know what that's from.
This has precedence. I'm pulling this from the greatest Batman stories ever told, a treasured book from when I was a kid. I don't have the original Silver Age issue, but there's a story called The First Batman. It appeared in Detective 235 from 1956. And look here, we have Batman watching a film strip of his dad, Thomas Wayne, in that Batman costume and fighting crime at a costume party. And then as Batman and Robin research the story and see more film, he teams up throughout the years or across the years with his father by using the clues that his father uncovered to solve a crime in the present day. And then at the end, we see Batman put Thomas Wayne's Bat costume in the glass case, just like we saw at the end of the episode. And you're right.
Man,
this show
that's
does
cool.
an incredible job of remixing Batman history.
Yeah.
I would agree, yeah. And Bruce Wayne, who I have to mention is voiced perfectly by Diedrich Bader in this series,
Yes.
who also voices Batman and Harley Quinn, the animated series, because he is an awesome Batman. He even says, I must have been inspired by seeing my father when I was a kid. And we're like, okay, sure, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we get it.
Well, to your point, I think that part of the reason that it works in this circumstance is because, like you said, to your point, it is about a wounded child. And so the nostalgia makes sense. It fits right in with it. And I love Batman's dad as a good guy. That was something that I was never aware of before. And I much prefer it to him being like a mob boss crime lord that like had deep dark secrets. That stresses me out all the time. So I was happy about it.
Yeah, he's just a doctor who kicks ass as well. That's Thomas Wayne. That's what he did.
Yeah.
But then let's cut to the heart of this episode. The real juicy part of this episode is the moment where Bruce Wayne Batman confronts the murderer of his parents, Joe Chill. And it was a moment that is played very seriously, even though the rest of the show and series is really fun and it's really, tongue-in-cheek humor. And it's also the first part in the series where Batman takes his cowl off and you actually get to see Bruce Wayne. And it's the first time ever in pop culture, outside of the comics, where Batman confronts Joe Chill, the murderer of his parents.
Yes.
So what did you guys think of that whole
one at
moment?
one at a time. We got to break these down one at a time.
Yeah.
So I love the moment where Batman takes off his cowl and tells Joe Chill he is Bruce Wayne. That is such a shocking moment. And it's not a gotcha shocking moment. It shocks you because you connect immediately to that deep, dark hurt inside Batman, that poor broken child of Bruce Wayne inside adult Bruce Wayne. Because Batman wouldn't just do that just to flex on a villain. No, he's doing that because he's feeling genuine hurt and pain throughout the years. It just underlines how serious this emotional moment is. Paul Dini is so good at this stuff. I really admire the way he handled this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well said. I'm surprised that he didn't take off his mask and say, that wasn't very chill of you.
Yeah. Missed opportunity.
Missed
waka.
opportunity. It's sorry. It's so good. It's so effective. And again, I was so surprised at how this show kept me laughing, even though this is an incredibly serious and poignant moment. I still the moment, to skip ahead a little bit, where all of the villains just turn on him and they're like, wait a minute, we wouldn't be messing with Batman if it worked for you.
Your fault? Squeeze me?
It was so funny.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was so funny. And so it really turns on a dime. You can have this really heavy emotional moment where you understand what this means for Bruce, and then a second later, you're laughing again. I was very, very impressed by it.
And my favorite moment to come from this is the Spectre, who's voiced by Mark Hamill, when he says, if Joe Chill lives, Batman dies. He knows who you are. When he says that. And then Bruce Wayne says, Batman dies? Maybe. Bruce Wayne? Never. And it's such a great moment because he's letting us, the audience, know. He's letting the Spectre, this agent of vengeance, know that even if he loses his secret identity, even if he has to stop being Batman, he will not give up. He will always be Bruce Wayne. He's able to move on past that tragedy and live his life. And I think it's a really powerful sentiment. I think that this show, and we're going to get into it with the later episodes that we're talking about this week, they really do showcase what makes Batman Batman, even in light of this very Silver Agey world, with a couple of different examples. And I think this is a great example of this is what makes Bruce Wayne a hero. This is what makes him Batman. And there you have it. Wow, that was a lot. This episode's heavy, y'all. And like I said, the other ones we're talking about this week, not as heavy, not as much. Okay, so thank you to Whitney and thank you to Sam for delving into this episode with me. That was fantastic. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.